Hello, and welcome to Expose Healthcare. My name is Steve, and this is a topic. This is a going to be an interesting topic. This is something that took me a long time to put out, not because of the amount of information or the complexity of information. It's a lot of it is actually because of fear. Um, and it's fear of kind of like being canceled, fear of retaliation from my clients, from my professional community, who may be, to be honest, like triggered. Probably is the best word to put for this. Um, it's I'm gonna be trying to be as scientific as possible with it, as objective as possible about it. And I'll just preface by saying I don't have a 100% opinion on any one way or another on either of the topics in this article, but but I am concerned by both. Um, and I have some good news that one of my clients actually was inspired by this article, um, and wants to do some interesting work with this that I'm really excited about. So stay tuned on that. That'd be really cool. What's going to happen? So the article is titled Sweden Leader in Unpopular Pediatric Medicine. So let's do it. My wife and I have debated leaving the US before being parents, but even more so ever since having a daughter almost 2 years ago. There are many reasons for this, including healthcare, gun violence, education, and honestly, overall culture and quality of life. Being in America, I can't say it feels like there's a good quality of life. um, and in terms of culture, at least going on vacation to Europe and even to Canada, it feels different and it feels better in certain ways. Um, when you look at the when you look for the best places to raise children around the world, Sweden consistently comes in the top three in almost every list available. I don't think that's surprising to anybody. I guess maybe not from raising children. I guess just top countries in the world. If you ask people that, Denmark, Sweden, I think that will roll off the tongue for people, pretty for a lot of people. Global RCG best countries to raise a child in 2023. Sweden's number two. World's best countries for raising kids. LFAC. Sweden number one. U.S. News best countries for raising kids. Sweden number three. World's best countries to raise a family. Sweden number one. So like, by and large, it's like Sweden. If it's not number one, it's top five, top 10 for sure, top 10 for sure. So let's get controversial. So let's talk about transgender medicine and COVID vaccines. Very emotionally charged topics. I would say more so transgender medicine. I think COVID vaccines, by and large, are fairly popular. In kids, it might be a little bit less popular, but still very popular. Transgender medicine, definitely very divided across the board. A lot of anti-pro with that. So it doesn't get more controversial than that. However, for some reason, Sweden has done the opposite of almost every country worldwide. Or I guess I should say every first world country or Western country or countries that are in that top list of best countries for sure. So this is an article with Sweden's president Karolinska ends all use of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for minors. This is as of 2 years ago. While many countries are making it easier for children to have access to puberty blockers, Sweden has banned the use a couple of years ago. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I've been using ChatGPT and Google Bard since the beginning. I've never had an issue using them to summarize anything. Like, very good at summarizing. Like, ridiculous. And all of a sudden, I get the following response as summarizing this article. So I just wanted to summarize the article. I'm not asking for it. What's its opinion on puberty blockers? Just give me a summary. And it says, I'm just a language model, so I can't help you with that. What? That I have never seen before. The prompt was summarize the following article. I have done that thousands of times over the past year. Thousands. And I've never seen this happen, ever. I took another random article and put the same prompt and got a paragraph summary, as always, which makes... So I got a summary. Exactly what I would expect. It's a great summary. And it's like, what is going on here? That's just an aside. I found it weird. Like, the main weird thing is, why are they banning puberty blockers? Why are the rest of first world country? I shouldn't say first world. Why the rest of kind of like civilized countries, like U.S. and whatever UN countries, whatever you want to say, why are they allowing it? With the exception to obviously like Middle East, China, Russia. Why are they blocking it while America and so many other countries are just allowing it to happen? What's going on? The AI thing is just kind of like a side that I found very weird, because I was just in the middle of trying to like summarize it to make it like palatable, and boom, I can't do it. It's like, what? So a little bit conspiracy stuff going on there. Now let's switch gears to COVID vaccines for children. Sweden decides against recommending COVID vaccines for kids aged 5 to 11. Now, this is even a more controversial, not even more controversial, this is even a more unpopular thing, because even, I believe, China, Russia, Middle East, definitely America, and every country I know of is pushing for the COVID vaccines, and they're okay with the 5 to 11. So, like, this is weird. Like, what? Why is one of the top countries in the world for healthcare, kids, quality of life, like, and name and metric, they're not allowing these COVID vaccines for kids? So one of the reasons I left pharmacy is because of the pressure of vaccine changes happening every week, in regards to inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, as well as the complicated storage requirements. Almost every country is recommending COVID vaccines for children except for Sweden, one of the best countries in the world to raise children. Why? Why is this happening? So when Americans talk about the horrors of the U.S. healthcare system, they often look to countries with universal healthcare, and especially Scandinavian countries like Sweden, as role models. How many times you hear, oh, Denmark, Sweden, oh, they're so good with their healthcare system. However, why aren't we talking about the fact that Sweden has chosen to take the unpopular approach towards vaccines and puberty blockers for children? I'm curious to hear, honestly, your opinions why. And if you don't feel comfortable commenting on the YouTube video, you could, what could you do? You could email me. You could email me at stevenmalen@gmail.com, stevenmalen@gmail.com. You could also LinkedIn me message. I've had a lot of people LinkedIn message me their comments because they were afraid to comment. So I'm going to read some of them. So, anonymous comment. While I don't possess an extensive personal perspective of Sweden, the policies you've mentioned do appeal to me. I have serious reservations about both the trans movement among children and the implementation of COVID-19 vaccines, which are, to me, concerning issues and worthy of further thought. Despite these worldwide concerns, I still have no intention to relocate from the United States, as I firmly believe it's the best country in the world. So, it's nice. I actually like that comment because it's a balanced comment. It's not saying, oh, yeah, and then, like, I hate U.S., all that stuff. This is a person that still thinks the U.S. is the best country in the world, however, has reservations and is concerned about what's going on with these policies. Clarification. Not only does Sweden but also Norway and Finland also paused COVID vaccines for everybody under 30. So Norway, Sweden, Norway, Finland, also two countries that people would consider have pretty good healthcare systems. For whatever reason, some people say it's because of homogenous population, whatever. Um, Pretty good healthcare system, kind of knows where to put their resources. Anonymous comment. I recently started a new job, and that is my main reason for not wanting to post publicly. Mm. I haven't had the opportunity to really feel out the people I work with for. As for why Sweden is taking a different approach, I don't have an answer, but I'm glad that they are doing what they are doing. They are apparently either very comfortable with potentially being canceled, or they simply don't care what the rest of the world thinks. This message was way longer, and I couldn't post the whole thing. Um, but I find it interesting. Again, start a new job, can't talk about this. I mean, why can't someone talk about some therapeutics for diabetes or even for substance abuse or opioid addiction? Why can't we talk about this? Why can't we talk about what we're injecting our kids with? It's crazy. Like, why is this so? Let's talk about the science. Just talk about the science. Anyway, next one. Um. So this is not a comment. This is more. This is not a. This is not a anonymous tip or anonymous comment. This is just in general. In private, I've received a lot of feedback regarding this topic from friends who are on both spectrums politically. They all agree with Sweden that with children, it is better to err on the side of caution. That makes sense in general. Yet they are all scared of commenting or even liking this article, even liking the article, which this article got 17 likes. So I applaud and I applaud those 17 people who are brave enough to like this, because even liking this could be a signal that could get you canceled / lose your job. They're all scared of commenting or even liking this article out of fear of being fired. This is scary because we aren't talking about politics here. This isn't Trump versus Biden. We're talking about why one of the best countries in the world in regards to healthcare and specifically care of children has taken an unpopular stance in regards to COVID vaccines and puberty blockers. This isn't political. This is medicine that is being injected into our kids. I know that sounds like hyperbole, and I'm trying to get your emotions with saying injecting our kids, but it is. It's being injected at our kids, and this is something that we should be concerned about or be able to talk about. So this should be something we should all do to talk about publicly and with no shame instead of speaking in private out of fear. By speaking in private out of fear, that's what Soviet Union was, because you could be sent to the gulags. Anonymous tip. It's a crazy world where passing laws against child abuse is controversial. So obviously you know where this person lies in their feelings. Yeah, like I said, the only reason why I would say it's child abuse is because of the science not being there yet. Like I do know the science regarding transgender medicine, puberty blockers, and the science regarding COVID vaccines and COVID in general in kids, and in many ways the pros don't weigh the cons. / there's no science, as in with transgender medicine, very little science. Now this is gonna be interesting. I'm fine to share my thoughts, although I will keep them brief. It's a political religious move, as the Christian Democrats of Sweden have a very strong stand against same-sex marriage. Pretty blockers, well, that says it all. It alters the hormonal system altogether. Early reports suggest these kids, I capitalize to emphasize the population being messed with, are unable to reproduce once they become adults. Many things are reversible, not puberty blockers. Sweden politicians see the trans movement and are doing what they can to prevent this from happening within their country. I'd like to believe it has more to do with allowing nature to take its course, and don't think that's the case. In my professional humble opinion, there's a God, and God decides the course of an individual, not man. Regardless of the way we identify our higher consciousness, I agree. Humans have crossed the line in this. As for the vaccines, as of 2022, reports began surfacing indicating a direct impact on the hormonal system, including the pituitary and adrenal glands. This is a hit to the stress response affecting the way a person thinks, emotes, and behaves. Sweden is protecting their children from being altered by the hands of man. In regards to the COVID vaccines for kids, what I will say is just that the pros don't weigh out the cons because the cons are so low with COVID and kids, especially 5 to 11 that are healthy with no pre-existing conditions. If you're going to talk about kids 5 to 11 with um, cancer, really bad, like altered immune system or affected immune system, sure, okay, you can make an exception to give them the COVID vaccine. But for a healthy 5 to 11-year-old that has COVID, very low risk of morbidity, mortality, significant morbidity and mortality. There's no significant mortality. You're either dead or alive. Um, as far as the transgender topic, that she said, um, yeah, I mean, she's right. It's irreversible and it's sterilizing. So you're not only giving drugs that cause a lot of changes in the short term, but irreversible changes in the long run, including the ability to have kids. And these are kids that can't buy a beer. And these are kids that can't even get a credit card. All right, this guy I know, and he's fun. There's no Ruben Moreno. There is no question that American culture is going to hell. Your family would probably be better off in another country. Very sad that I'm saying this, and never in a million years would I think of this. Very, very sad day in America. Also, Nordic countries take not only their cultures more seriously than we do in the States, but are also tough on immigration. We allow everyone to pour in. We're open and for sale to anyone. So interesting about the thing about this comment. This is going to be along the lines of the conspiracy, um, ChatGPT thing, where it couldn't summarize the article. I got zero notifications from LinkedIn about this post, about this comment. The past two posts I've made that I touched on transgender medicine, I have to go way out of my way to find the comments. I've never had that problem with LinkedIn. I post an article and then I get likes, I get comments, shares, and this thing over here. Oh, you can't see it. But on top, I get a notification. No notification. So weird. Right. So another person I spoke with said that what they thought about it. And then when I asked if I can publish their quote anonymously, wouldn't agree out of fear of losing their job. This is nuts. Conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. John F. Kennedy. This is our kids we are talking about and chemicals that we are injecting in them. Why are we all afraid of talking about this? Forget about injecting it, okay? There's, people that are afraid of injecting, afraid of doing this, but even talking about it, we can't talk about it. And here's a quote from another president with a familiar acronym. Only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Agreed. Another anonymous quote. I'm fully with Sweden. Unfortunately, there was no time to study long-term effects on children, so they went the cautious route, which is very prudent. If you take old ways into considerations, which is a lot of times after hype is gone, turn out to be the best way. As for a second issue, when is too much exposure and talk about something, even people, children who never thought of things starts, and some percentage of this we definitely have here too much discussions. Each child wants to be somebody. If there is insight resource to be different, they can decide to use this one. As of everything, too much is bringing a lot of damage. So I would paraphrase that. It's a little bit illegible, but just saying we need to talk about it and do everything in moderation. All right. This is a Swede. I got a Swede. I would say caution in both cases, and it is just one vaccine that the Swedish government was reluctant to give to children. It is the same with puberty blockers. I think the consensus is to go through puberty, and when you are of age, in Sweden it is 18, you can legally decide for yourself what to do. The government doesn't consent to giving children chemicals that will permanently damage them. Yeah. So I said thank you for your brave comment. The guy, very humble, said, "You're welcome, but it's not brave. It's just how it is." I told him, "You are right. I see you're entrepreneur sweetest. So what fear could you have about this? Part of the reason why I can do this is because I have my own business with multiple clients. There's no one client that could be like, peace, and I'm done." So I get it. Um, and the guy goes, "Really? Why are the U.S. censoring speech?" So I respond, "First of all, the social media platforms are censoring speech which criticizes vaccines or transgender medicine anyway. Second, if anybody talks about it publicly, it can affect their job to the point of getting fired." Guy says, "Yes, I'm aware that people get banned from Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and so on, but I only have LinkedIn. You can't get fired in Sweden for your opinion or discussion of what's going on in the world. Free speech law prevents that." Psh. Leader of the free world, the U.S. Oh, whenever I watch a show that has that leader of the free world, U.S., it definitely gives me a weird vibe because it doesn't feel very, very free. I wouldn't say, I would echo what the person said above in saying that it's the best country in the world. Maybe not echo, but like more like kind of echo. Like my family's here, my friends are here. It's what made me the person I am. Um, and I feel freedom, but we got to get it so more people feel freedom to be able to talk about these issues. Let's talk about transgender medicine, especially in kids. Let's talk about vaccines in kids, COVID vaccines. Let's be able to talk about it. This is one of the problems that are in our healthcare system. Would love to see your comment on this. And if you have an anonymous comment that you don't feel comfortable sharing, you could email me. Like I said, stephenmallon@gmail.com. The other option is you could create like a whatever trash YouTube account and then comment. That's probably the best way. That way people can engage with you. Totally would love a lot of engagement on this topic. Thank you so much, everybody. Peace.